It's March 16th, 2020. It's been really sunny here in Seattle. No rain, pretty dry. Start over here with the lavender. So you can see the new growth is coming out nicely. Rosemary looks the same. You can see the new growth with some flowers. Over here's the hydrangea. You can see this new hydrangea is forming these flowers now. I'll give you a closer look of the flowers. It sure does look different from the ones we have, which is this variety over here. You can see the flowers look very different. Over here we have the summer snowflakes. As you can see, this one is sending out more flowers. It's looking pretty good actually. And here's a few more flower spikes. And I consolidated all the other bulb plants. Right here is the puschkinia. You can see the flowers are coming out nicely. And then this one is another bulb plant. Right here you can see a single purple flower forming. And then this is the Persian pearl tulip. You can see some flowers. Here's one, and then here's two more, and then there's a bunch more that's not open yet, but they're gonna open pretty soon. Over here's a few more. Right there's another one. A lot of flowers. And then this is the grape hyacinth, the latifolium variety or something. I don't know if I pronounced that correctly. But this is the flowers. It's a lot darker than the other variety I have. Over here's the tulips, looks about the same. And the peony, you can see the sprouts getting bigger now, and it's pretty red. Over here's the mulberry. You can see the sprouts are still getting bigger. And then the blueberry, you can see the flowers forming. And also some leaves are forming too, like over here. And then down here we have some lily of the valley. You can actually see the flowers already. Those white things, the green things, the pale green things actually. Those are probably the flower buds. And yeah, there's a lot of sprouts forming all over the pot. Here's that other variety of grape hyacinth. A lot of flowers. You can see the flowers are actually different color. Over here's the hyacinth. Flowers are still around. This one is getting a bit too heavy. These are all getting a bit too heavy. It's actually, I haven't watered the plant, so it's a little shriveled. Here's the crocus. You can see it's pretty much done flowering. It's all leaves now. Here's a few more flowers, but it's pretty much done flowering. Strawberries looks about the same, but I think there's some new growth forming. If you look closely at the center of each strawberry plant, there's some flower structure forming actually, like this one over here. You can see flower looking structure over there. Over here's the hydrangea. Just, yeah, a bunch of flower buds forming. The catnip looks pretty much the same. And the raspberry, you can see the sprouts are getting bigger. Down here's a few more new plants forming. I'm just gonna show you the buds on this cane over here, forming nicely. Here's the grape. You can see a lot of buds forming on the grapes. This one is the one we looked at last week. It's looking like it's getting bigger, and this is just more little buds forming on this stem. And actually, if you look at the vent over here, this sprout is actually already growing. I guess it's the temperature. I don't know. Here's the rhubarb. Looks pretty much the same as last week. You can see some new sprouts forming over here. Let's look at the daffodil. Here's some flowers remaining after I harvest some of them for indoor. Doesn't look like there's any more flowers forming, so not a lot of flower this year. Here's the artichoke. Looks pretty much the same. As for the indoor garden, this succulent over here, this tiny baby plant is fell off, so I'm gonna plant that in the succulent pot. Here's the elephant plant and the snake plant. This little sprout over here is pushing the big plant over to the right, so I'm gonna need some support over there. Here's the orchids. The Venus slip orchid is doing really well, as you can see, a lot of leaf growth. The dendrobium flowers are fading now, like these ones. These ones are still looking good, but I'm expecting them to fade within this week. Yeah, it's doing well. And then over here is the string of pearls. Just some new growth on the top. And the mini oncidium is still sending out a lot of new growth. Like this one too. And here's the small pot of pear plants. You can see the leaves are coming out nicely. Here's another orchid. Looks like the third leaf is forming nicely. And over here is the frizzle sizzle. The new growth is forming nicely. And the flower spike, you can see 3 flowers are getting a lot bigger, forming nicely, while the other 2 is probably gonna fade. Here's the bird nest fern. You can see the leaves, new leaves forming from the center. The dragon tree plant looks like it's recovering. There's some new leaves forming, as you can see, in the center. Over here's the petal plants, the succulents. And the pear plants, let's look at the flower from last week. Looks like most of the flower has faded already, but here's a few more new flowers forming. Over here's the staghorn fern. Let's just look at the shield frond, of course. This shield frond is still getting bigger, and the other shield frond on the other side is also getting bigger. Yeah, just lots of new growth this week.